President van der Bellen, Chancellor Kurz, Monica, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My presence in Austria today is virtual, but my feelings are real, because Austria is still so much part of who I am, and the people of Austria are still my family. And it is so great that we are hosting this summit in Austria here, because it is the biggest environmental meeting in the world this year. Now, I'm in the movie business, as you all know, so to me, there is really not much difference between virtual and the real world. And here's the interesting thing. The marvels of modern technology have progressed so much that we can join hundreds of people right now in the Spanish writing school, and the millions of people watching online right here from Los Angeles. Isn't that fantastic? And from my control station here, I can see everything. I can see, for instance, the president checking his speech the last time before he's going to deliver it. And then there's Monica running around, worrying and schwitzing about everything. And then there's someone in the third row, hey, you, pay attention, stop picking your nose. It's amazing, the kind of things that we can do with technology. That you can do with technology is like unbelievable. But there's still, with all these technologies, there's still some people that think that the best way to light a room is to burn a lump of coal. But we're going to talk about that later. First, I want to just say thank you very much to President van der Bellen for being such a great partner for this summit for the past 4 years. You are an environmental champion, and we couldn't do this without you, so thank you very much. Let's give a big hand to President van der Bellen. Thank you also to Chancellor Kurz for showing the world that fighting pollution is not a conservative or liberal idea. It is just common sense. So thank you for all your great work. Big hand to Chancellor Kurz. And thank you, Monica Langthaler, and her entire team, I should say, that have not slept for the past 2 months as they organized everything that you see. Thank you very much for all your hard work, Monica. We love you. And finally, thank you to our sponsors, such as Herbert Waldner and Clemens Hollmann, for helping us reach the world with our message. I mean, Clemens has always been there, a big supporter of environmental issues. And Herb, if they ever do a documentary about you, they should call it Pumping Trees. Because it was Herb, actually, who brought in all of the trees that you see on the floor of the Spanish writing school right now. All those trees were delivered by him. The trees remind us that the civilized world needs the natural world. And they also remind us that civilization and the natural world can live in harmony. And it is this idea, this desperate need, that has brought us together here today. Now, all over the world, almost every environmental meeting, every sports competition, every movie premiere, every convention has been canceled because of this coronavirus. So why did this gathering not get canceled? Why did we just postpone it but not cancel it? Why did we feel that was so important to us? It is because the message of this summit is urgent. And we have a window of opportunity to act right now. I'm speaking to you from California, where wildfires caused by lightning strikes and record-breaking heat have turned more than 3 million acres. It had burned acres after acres after acres, and it's been going on for weeks now. And an army of 14,000 firefighters in huge flying tankers have been battling those places, and the fire season hasn't even started yet. The sky for the last week has been orange or deep red in much of the state, looking more like Mars than California. And the inferno in Northern California has created so many fire tornadoes that the National Weather Service, for the first time in its history, issued a fire tornado warning, which sounds like a premise of a Hollywood disaster movie, but it is real life. But the thing about Californians is that we have a history of rebuilding. After earthquakes and after fires and floods and mudslides, we always rebuild. And every time they rebuild, they come back better. For instance, 2 summers ago, 95% of the town of Paradise, California, was annihilated. It was a part of a larger fire that killed 85 people destroyed 19,000 homes and buildings, and cost over $16 billion in damages, and forced 250,000 people to flee their homes. I saw this devastation firsthand, because during the fires, I went to Paradise to serve the firefighters breakfast, as I always have done as a governor. And I love doing that to show my appreciation, because I love and admire the firefighters, the way they risk their lives in the heat and in the smoke for the rest of us. They risk their lives to save ours. Eventually, the fires were put out, and the power companies, here's the interesting thing, the power companies wanted to go and replace the poles and restring the electrical lines, even though they knew that the faulty transmission line had caused the fire in the first place. Yes, it was a fire that was created by a power line that fell down. That's what created the fire and all of this damage. So when they wanted to rebuild it the same way, the city said, no, this will never happen again. You cannot rebuild the old way. You will put the new lines on the ground. And they passed an ordinance to demand just that. You see, there's a lesson for all of us in this, because the way to rebuild is to rebuild better. This year, as we all know, an additional disaster has struck not just California, but states and nations all over the world. And that disaster came in the form of a virus, tornado, that has devastated people and economies all over the world. How should we rebuild from this? I say, with the same foresight as the city of Paradise. Because simply rebuilding the status quo, of course, is the easiest. It requires the least amount of imagination and the least effort. But if you watch the smartest investors in the world, their money does not look backwards. Yesterday is a terrible investment. BlackRock, which manages more than $7 trillion, will no longer invest in coal. Goldman Sachs recommended investors sell their oil stocks. And over the last decade, fossil fuel stocks were the worst performing sector on the S&P 500, which measures large companies on the US stock exchange. Now here's a big one. ExxonMobil, which was once the most valuable company in the world, today is worth 1/10 of the value of Apple, which is valued at $2 trillion. So when you hear that government plans to spend stimulus money bailing out fossil fuels, we must ask ourselves, if investors aren't supporting those declining companies, why should taxpayers? Government must realize what the smart money knows instinctively. Don't invest in the past. You see this rotary phone right here? This is a rotary phone that was invented over 120 years ago. Now, such old technology served its purpose well, but it belongs in a museum. I mean, it's a beautiful phone, but it belongs in a museum. I mean, would you invest in a technology like this? No. You would invest in this, a smartphone, a phone so smart that it can do 1 million different things, and no landlines, it's wireless. As a matter of fact, last month, I spoke to Chris Cassidy. Now, you maybe not know who Chris Cassidy is, but he is the commander of the International Space Station. He was in space, seeing and talking to me right here on Earth, while I was able to look out his window at the Earth below going by. I mean, I literally could have waved at myself. We were not bound by wires or old technologies because the people making the decisions over the years had the foresight to look forward. Forward-looking decisions are needed right now. Right now, as trillions of dollars and trillions of euros are being poured into rebuilding economies and infrastructure in the wake of the coronavirus. These funds are so massive, they are capable of remaking societies. We have a tremendous opportunity here. All we have to do is pick it up. We need to build a clean energy economy. And the projects of the future, we need to put people back to work in sustainable jobs. We need to upgrade buildings and to make them more energy efficient. We need to weatherproof homes. And we need to drive cars that are powered by alternative fuels. And we need to install energy efficient appliances. That's where we should invest our money in. And we need to do simple things that don't even require technology. We need to plant trees. I tell you, it can be done. Because I remember when I was governor, we had big plans. And like reducing greenhouse gases by 25% by the year 2020. And we beat it. We did it by 2018. We set the goal to require 50% of our electricity to come from clean sources. And we beat it. We set the goal of 1 million solar roofs on our homes. And we beat it. And I have no doubt that California will continue on with that momentum. And then we will step up and achieve another 40% of cuts in greenhouse gases by the year 2030. In 10 years from now, yes, we will have reduced another 40%. And 100% of clean power we will have by the year 2045. Today, even though California is only 12% of the US population, it attracts more than 50% of the US green tech venture capital. See, all this money is coming into California, and that's why we are so successful. We have the strictest environmental laws, but we are the most successful economically in the United States. And we are the 5th largest economy in the world. See, that's the future. This is the way to invest and to rebuild. Ladies and gentlemen, climate change is truly our planet's pandemic. It is our pandemic. I mean, if you think about it, that there were 1 million people almost killed so far by the coronavirus. But the pollution and climate change kills 7 million people every year. So that's the real pandemic. It is spread to all of the nations of the earth. And there is no vaccine. There's no vaccine except our own actions. Now let me close with one last thought here. In Austria's national anthem, we sing, land of the mountains, land by the river, land of fields, land of cathedrals, land of hammers with a promising future. When I hear those words with the music behind them, I feel something stirring inside me, and it makes me proud. It speaks to me not only of Austria's great natural beauty, but also of the hard work that the Austrian people put in, who have cultivated the fields and built the cathedrals. It sings of the mountains, which represents the beauty and the environment. But it also sings of the hammer, which represents industry and the hum of factories and the gears of commerce. This is the balance between prosperity and the environment, the harmony between civilization and nature. That is the ideal towards which nations must thrive. So as we rebuild our economies and our lives from the coronavirus, let us not only recover, let us reimagine and restructure. Let us respond to the opportunity before us. Let us not regret. We have a new path forward for the well-being of our people and our planet. Let us take that path. And let the anthem of Austria, the land of the mountains and rivers and fields and hammers, be the model of all of the nations of the world. Thank you very much. Thank you.